Well, good morning. Here we are, Saturday, Holy Saturday, Vigil Saturday, also known as. Yesterday, Jesus went to the cross. Jesus died and was laid in that tomb. And now Saturday is the Sabbath. Nothing can be done on the Sabbath. They can't even prepare the body to follow Jewish rituals. So here we are. This is the last of our devotionals for this series for Holy Week. Tomorrow we will celebrate Easter Sunday. And as I said, have some bread and some juice or wine if you want in front of you, and we will celebrate communion tomorrow morning as the greater family of God. Today's devotionals again comes from the United Church publication, Why I Believe. This one is written by Barb James, and it's a very powerful one. It's called Risking Faith, Daring Hope. Jesus cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said, "Unbind him and let him go." John 11:43-44. "He stinketh," is what Martha said of her entombed brother Lazarus. The King James Version uses that term. He stinketh. LGBTQ plus Christians back before 1988, so long ago that we were called gay lesbians, those other letters come much later, were also told that we stinketh. Sometimes we were called abominations, sometimes sick, perverts, hedonists, sometimes not to be trusted with children. Even as the United Church wrestled whether openly gay or lesbian people could serve as ministers, most provinces did not yet protect our human rights. Those who came out would lose custody of their children, be fired, evicted, refuse service, and cast out of family and church, and all too often were. Physical violence was an ever-present threat in that time and place, and we queer Christians, like Lazarus, stunketh. The closet and the tomb were both imagined places of safety. The false promise that keeping quiet would protect queer Christians did not address the violence of outing. Lesbian and gay church folk in the closets in those days lived with the ever-present fear of exposure and the ensuing dangers of loss. That there would be a big stink. During that time, I guess I was in a glass closet, not making any public statements about my lesbian identity, but not pretending to be heterosexual either. The story of Lazarus gave me great courage at the time when I felt so afraid. The story of Lazarus helped me risk and dare hope. Consider, Jesus risked his life to go to Lazarus' tomb in John 11:8. Even though I was afraid, this gave me courage to speak out at church meetings, advocating for justice. Consider Jesus, deeply disturbed as he comes to the tomb, orders the stone removed, and loudly calls Lazarus to come out. This gave me daring faith, despite the vicious condemnation from some in the church, that God's love reaches even into the tombs and the closets, seeks to create a community in which people like me are valued members. Consider, Jesus gives community a role in liberation with his words, "Unbind him and let him go." Many allies risk faith and dare hope by speaking up and speaking out in acts of solidarity. Recently, a friend told me she thought I was so courageous during the era of the issue. Me, I said, "Are you kidding? I was scared to death all the time." My friend replied, "Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means acting and speaking despite the fear. Risking faith, daring hope." Wow, there's a lot in there and so much that we could talk about. What I think has been very disturbing in recent years is a rise of hatred, a divisiveness within society itself. This divisiveness leads to hatred, and we are seeing it openly displayed, not only within our leaders, and when it is displayed with our leaders, the average person thinks, hey, it's okay to show this hatred, this dislike for people who are different, people who may be different color skin than us, people who may worship differently, even people within the Christian faith. Within different denominations, there is hatred of people of other groups, people that worship differently, different faith groups, and people of different orientations. There seems to be a growing increase in society, which seems to show that, hey, it's okay to show this kind of divisiveness, this kind of hatred. We were at a point many years ago where it was slowly being pushed underground. But in recent years, it seems to have erupted up with a fury. Now, in dealing with this, I have to first state two facts. Two facts that, in my opinion, cannot be refuted. Fact one, God created everything. Everything around us, you, me, the rocks, the very earth that we plant our seeds in, the animals, everything was created by the hand of God. God created that cosmos, that which evolution took over. Created the laws of evolution, the laws of physics, the laws of nature. All were set in motion by God. The second fact is God does not make mistakes. Somehow, God created this diverse nature, this diverse universe in which we live in. He created a diverse array of people with different beliefs and belief systems, people who act differently, different nations. All were created. And God did not make a mistake in doing this. The question is for us as human beings is to decide, what did God mean when he created such diversity? We need to wrap our heads around the fact that we are all different, but yet we are all created by the hand of God. So how do we make sense of people that are a different color, people that are different religions, people that are different orientations? I recently read there that Christianity, still the largest religion in the world, only encompasses 2.3 billion people. However, there's a population of 8 billion people in the world. All created, all 8 billion were created by the hand of God. Given that gift of free will and free choice, we are allowed to decide how we want to direct our lives. Do we want to live our life as directed in the scriptures of loving one another as God and Jesus so loved us? Or do we want to live it in a divisive way with division and hatred for anyone who is different than us, does not believe exactly as we believe? Therein lies the question. 8 billion people. And yet, we are all unique. But yet we all have that common ancestry because we were all created by God. We are all brothers and sisters. So the question is, how are we going to use our free will, that gift that God gave us, to live out the words that Jesus taught us, to love one another just as he has loved us? That golden rule that is written in Matthew, to love, treat everyone as you wish to be treated yourself, that is written in every religious faith in the world. It is written in some form to love one another treat other people as you would have them treat you. We need to make that decision. Are we going to live in a divisive world filled of hatred? Or are we going to live as Jesus Christ taught us, with an inclusive love for our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, the nature around us? We are told that we are to love God with our whole heart, with all our soul, our mind, and our strength, and our neighbors as ourselves. If we love God, but yet we hate somebody because they're a little different than us, then we are in fact hating something that God has created. And we are showing our contempt for God, thinking we are better than God. But by loving inclusively as Jesus did, as God intended us to, we are loving our neighbors. And that can be difficult. It can be. Don't get me wrong. It is hard to love somebody who may hate you or may have done you wrong. But it is something we need to work through. And God can give us the strength and the help to get through this. So love with the love that Jesus gave us, that Jesus taught us. And serve God as best we can. Let's close out in prayer. For the hurt we have inflicted, forgive us. For the hurts we have absorbed, heal us. For the coming of the peaceful kingdom, prepare us, that we might risk faith, that we might dare hope. Amen.